You know, we've all probably experienced, you know, let me back up and say it this way. You're going to hear me say a lot that D.AI.SY, the goal of D.AI.SY is to be a disruptive model, right? When I use the word disruptive, what I mean is disrupting something at its intrinsic core value. I mean, truly disrupting the model of something. So, you know, we've seen, you know, in our industry, we've all seen, you see, you know, a lot of companies come in that use that word disruptive, but typically it's just another version of the same thing, right? And so that's not disruption. Disruption is not just a version 2.0 or 3.0 of the same thing. A disruption comes when you really take the limit off of some element or elements of the core model of something, and you remove those limitations, and then it goes to the next level. It becomes a disruptor. Uber was a disruptive model because it changed just a couple of the bottlenecks, a couple of people's emotional feelings about taxes, and now this new model of Uber started to emerge. They made a couple of small changes, just a couple of small changes. They were still giving rides. The fundamental principle was the same. They're giving rides to people who need transportation. But they changed a couple of core elements to their model, and they came in and just disrupted an entire industry. Another great example of this is Netflix. If you remember how quickly Netflix was able to adapt. Does anybody remember when you would order Netflix DVDs? You would order a Netflix DVD. I want you to remember that. It wasn't that long ago. And they would send you a DVD. And this was their first step towards disruption. It doesn't sound very disruptive. They were the same DVD that you would go to Blockbuster to buy or Redbox to rent. Now, you know, prior to Redbox, Netflix said, hey, we're going to ship DVDs. We're going to mail DVDs. That was not just, it was a step towards disruption. They were asking the question. There's an existing audience of people who watches movies that they rent. How do we capture that market? So in the early phase of Netflix, their first big idea was, we'll ship them. We'll ship DVDs. They were attempting to be disruptive, but the market shifted very quickly. Redbox showed up, and all of a sudden people realized, I don't have to wait a day for a shipment. I don't have to wait in line in a store. I can, in my own privacy, walk up to a machine and rent the DVD. So immediately Netflix had to outthink the market again and put the infrastructure together for online broadcasting. And their first attempt at disruption, which was mailing DVDs, was only a step in another direction of eliminating DVDs entirely. What did not change? You got to watch a movie. You got to watch a movie in the highest quality. You got to watch a movie sometimes for a limited period of time. But now you never had to leave your home, and you never had to wait on, it was on-demand movies and television. And it was disruptive. Same experience, different delivery mechanism, different model driving it, right? So this is what disruption does. Amazon did the same thing. Think about Amazon. Think about the biggest, most disruptive company in the world. Number one. And they started as a bookstore. They started as an online bookstore. That was the big idea. The big idea was, let's mail people their books. But from that first step into disruption, it created an environment for bigger ideas to come. And eventually they understood we can disrupt the entire retail model of shopping, much more than just the book industry. And it became Amazon. So for D.AI.SY, I love this industry. This industry changed my life. This industry transformed who I am as a person. It put me on a personal development journey. It changed my family's legacy. I love this industry. I love the people in this industry. Some of my closest friends are friendships from this industry. And some of my deepest experiences inside myself came, like facing fear, having breakthrough moments, challenging your own limited belief systems about what you deserve and who God made you to be. These you go through that journey, you go through that process. And I have a love for this industry for so many of those reasons. But at the same time, as we progress through the industry and you start to see things and experiencing things, there's some big limitations that are on this industry, some big limitations on the model of this industry. And, our inner circle, just all, many who are on this webinar tonight, we've been talking for a long time. We always are talking about new ideas, and we're always challenging some of those limitations of the system. And that's really what just led to D.AI.SY. We saw smart contracts come into the market, something that I'm a big believer in outside of our industry is blockchain and smart contract and this whole decentralized environment. Huge advocate of this. Never have connected that with our industry, but a huge advocate in that. And we saw companies come in and we saw how the market said, yes, we want something more transparent. We want a higher level of transparency. And so we said, let's create a model, though, that not only offers transparency, but actually outsmarts everything else that's out there when it comes to the actual offering that it has. If we can create the most value to the customer from a non-network marketing perspective, from a non-referral plan perspective, and we can bring value to people just as contributors, as members of the community who are contributing to the Endotech project. And if we can deliver value there and take the limits off of the referral model, say, okay, everyone wins, everyone's safe, the people have something of value, but now we have this amount over here that we can turn the throttle on and say, what would a dream referral plan look like? And that's what turned out to be D.AI.SY. It's saying we wanted a 100% transparent model that brought financial value to every member, not just some members. And then we wanted to create from that the most aggressive peer-to-peer story and referral model that was possible so that we could disrupt the industry.